Hello, one and all. I am Dr. Shaumili Mandal, and I am once again back with the third module of my 12-week course introducing folk literature of India. So, in the first module, introducing folklore as a discipline, definitions and key concepts, I have discussed about the various definitions of folklore and given you glimpses of major concepts of folklore, folk music, folk culture, folk art, and others in short. In the second module, I have discussed about oral poetry traditions of India, specifying different regions and varied types, focusing on major themes, styles, and how they connect the whole of India. So, in this module, that is, folk and its narrative genres, I will be dealing with the folk and the various genres of it. I have 5 lectures here, and in the first lecture, I'll be talking about folk narrative genres and its diverse forms. In the second lecture, about folk tales of East and Northeast India. In the third, folk tales of North India. In the fourth lecture, folk tales of Central and West India. And in the fifth one, folk tales of South India. So I'll be starting with the lecture 1 of module 3, that is, folk narrative genres and its diverse forms. So, first I'll be dealing with folk tales. So, folk tales, based on the nature of social life, are generally oral narratives which are passed on from one generation to another. It's a generic term actually, given to all form of stories that exist globally. Since different communities have their own distinctive social life, a folk tale originates from the references and can be written either fictional or non fictional. Folk tales also differ from each other, as on the basis of the nature, function, and social context of the narrative. For example, one type of folklore or folk tale will have the same elements as primary, while another type of folk tale will have certain other elements as peculiar or primary in their narratives. They also undergo certain changes over a period of time, as well as they move on from one society to another, when they spread over a period of time and also geographically. It is noticed that folk tales, when recorded on different periods of time, are not necessarily same. In fact, different individuals give alternate versions of the same of the same folk tale at the same point of time. The values, beliefs, and customs of a society are usually reflected in folk tales, which are traditional stories or legends that are passed down, as I said, orally through generations, frequently with variations. Fantastical aspects like magic, supernatural beings, or heroic deeds are frequently included. And also, the folktale is a story that represents a community's cultural customs and social norms. Usually through entertaining, instructive, or wise storytelling, it aims to maintain societal memories, traditions, and moral lessons. They are regarded in anthology as a type of oral literature, and also they are the setting we have, the historical setting, the perspective of the person narrating, all in this unwritten legacy. It can be seen as stories that speak to common human emotions and experiences from a psychological standpoint. They frequently act as a vehicle for moral or personal development and may mirror tropes like the hero's journey. One of the primary types of folklore, along with myths, tales, and proverbs, is also a folk tale. It consists of commonplace persons and events that are elevated by magical or supernatural components. Folk tales sometimes use symbolic or allegorical methods to entertain or to explain the unexplainable. So, next, I'm going to talk about joke. Jokes are a form of stylized visual or verbal narrative that provokes laughter and is full of humor. They are brief and short, including tales of exaggeration, humorous riddles, and comic anecdotes. They are often short, consisting of a few lines and are often used in conversation. They are said to be intentionally or unintentionally between two or more persons. They are often written, spoken, or gestured and performed in small or large groups. Also, we have the electronic forms in where we can see memes which facilitate the passing of jokes to one another without any ownership. They often display these jokes actually relation between two groups, one having the upper hand and the other being the butt of the ridicule. For example, in India, we have a large number of jokes on various communities, making them hapless victims of circumstances. It can also be related to the processes of life and often reflect social and kin structures. So, what is a joke, for example? As I said, it's a brief narrative, statement, or question and answer format designed to provoke laughter by presenting an unexpected twist, surprise, or clever wordplay. Also, we have a psychological definition of joke, as it is a mechanism that uses incongruity or absurdity to create amusement, often by violating social norms or expectations in a harmless or playful way. We also have a cultural definition of a joke, which is a form of social communication that can express shared values, critiques, or light-hearted commentary, often reflecting the norms, taboos, or humor of a particular cultural community. Also, a joke is a linguistic construct that plays on the meanings of sounds of words to create humor. They include puns, double entrants, and another form of other form or actually wordplays that exploit ambiguities in language. Also, a joke is a form of an interaction and it's a rhetorical device to entertain, persuade, or break the ice in a conversation, often used to lighten a situation, create rapport, or make a point more memorable. The next, I'm going to talk about the riddles. So, riddles can be defined as traditional enigma and puzzles. A riddle consists of a description and a referent, a question and an answer. Sometimes an uncertainty in the description adds to the fun and makes it funny to the listener. The riddles, in most of the time, contain a metaphor that asserts cultural symbols. The joy of revealing or concealment becomes a very important part of a riddle. Also, in construction of the riddle should be very clear and imaginative. The element of mystery gives it a very special meaning. Here, I have kind of taken some riddles as an example. For example, we have a riddle. I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with the wind. What am I? Okay, so it's an echo which doesn't speak, which doesn't have ears, but it comes alive with the wind. As we go to a mountain and we shout our name, for example, it comes back to us. So that's echo. The second example. The more of this there is, the less you see. That is darkness. So we cannot see darkness. We can see actually darkness rather than feel it. Another one. I have cities, but no houses. I have forest, but no trees, but no water. I have rivers, but no water. What am I? So that's a map. Because a map doesn't have any physical river, forest, or trees, but it's all there. Okay, one more riddle. What has one eye but can't see? Any guesses, listeners? Okay, so it's a needle. It has an eye, but it cannot see. Also, what can travel around the world while staying in the corner? And that is a stamp. It remains in the house, but it cannot travel anywhere. Okay, so now you can see in the slide that I have given an example of another riddle, right? And I have given you the example of the echo, right? I have given the question, but I have told the answer. Okay, so there's the last riddle I'll talk about. I am tall when I'm young, and I'm short when I'm old. What am I? So that's a candle. Next, we are going to talk about proverbs. A proverb is a brief, concise, and commonly used expression that conveys a piece of wisdom, advice, or truth, typically derived from cultural experience or common sense. So we can say that a proverb is a tool used to reinforce communal knowledge, behaviors, and ethics. It functions as a means of transmitting collective wisdom from one generation to the next, contributing to shared cultural identity. Also, a proverb is a pithy expression of truth that often encapsulates profound insights into human nature, life, or the universe, and offers reflections on morality, wisdom, or practical matters. A proverb is also a fixed figurative description that often includes metaphors or symbolism to communicate a practical lesson. It also reflects the values, beliefs, and social norms of a specific culture. It serves as a tool for teaching wisdom or offering guidance to others. Also, a proverb we can say transfers, or conveys a moral lesson or general truth, often used to persuade or influence others through its simplicity and effectiveness in communication. Also, a proverb is very easy to remember and it gives us complex life lessons or principles into memorable, easy to understand expressions. I will give you the example of some proverbs and explain it. The first I have given in the slide. Actions speak louder than words means our actions, means what we do should be louder than what we speak. I'll give you two or three more examples. One more is a penny saved is a penny earned, means saving money is just as valuable as earning it. The third one, don't judge a book by its cover. I think this is a very common proverb we use in our everyday life, that we should not judge a book by its cover. Means don't judge someone or something based solely on appearance. Look deeper. Then, better late than never means it's better to do something late than not to do at all. Also, the early bird catches the worm means people who wake up early or start working on something sooner are more likely to succeed. So, next, we are going to talk about a very important person. We can say, and he is one of the stalwarts of the folklore in India. And he was the first person to document the folk tales of India. So, now we are going to talk about the prominent folklorist, that is Dinesh Chandra Sen. So, who was Dinesh Chandra Sen? I have attached a photo of Dinesh Chandra Sen here. Okay, so he was a Bengali author, educator, and scholar of Bengali folklore. He was the first professor and Ramtanu Lahiri Research Fellow from the University of Calcutta in the Department of Bengali. His groundbreaking book, The Folk Literature of India, published in 1920, is the first official documentation of folk tales in South Asia. He passed away in 1939 and has given us a legacy and a huge area to work upon. So, what has Dinesh Chandra Sen given us? Let's explore that. So, he gives us the history of folk tales of Bengal and how there are striking similarities between European folk tales and Indian folk tales. He says that the European folk tales are indebted to the Indian folk tales and vice versa. He says for every story, however crude its form, has an object lesson to teach to the young. In it, justice always prevails. Active talent is everywhere successful, and the amiable and generous qualities are brought forward to excite the sympathies of the reader. He says that the early European tales are full of adventurous spirit, of fights of legendary heroes with dragons and monsters for the acquisition of rare prizes. In my previous lecture, if you remember, I talked about the Beowulf. He was a hero who was fighting monsters, Grendel and his mother. So, the hero's journey is a common, you can say, topic in the oral poetries and in the folk tales too. Now, I'll give you the example of one of the folk tale, the tale of Perseus. The tale of Perseus, who carried the head of the Gorgon Medusa, is a magic in a magic wallet of Heracles, who secured the golden apples from the garden of Hesperides and made his escape. The encounter of Theseus with the Minotaur, and of the former killing the dragon with the help of Ariadne, of Jason, who fought with and killed the terrible dragon that guarded the golden fleece. All of them, they are the Greek legends, but they are full of enterprise, physical daring, and valor. They were the fables that European children were accustomed to hear from their grandsires when civilization dawned on the West. These are typical stories of, early Europe and scarcely any Oriental flavor in them. Original scholars are of opinion that some folktales strongly bear the Eastern influence, and we know for certain that the Indian fables in the Panchatantra and in the Hitopadesha made a triumphant march to the west and exercised very great influence in shaping the literature of the Middle Ages, folk tales, and everything of Europe. Europe imported these fables into their shores through Arabic translations. So, the influence is going from India, it's meeting in the Arabic, and then is going to the West. Among a considerably large number of these, we may mention the story of the milkmaid. And also, Dinesh Chandra Sen gave us the prospect of defining folk tales. He gave us that folk tales can be divided into four parts. The first, the Rupkathas, which are simple tales in which the superhuman element predominates. The Rakshas, the beast, and the celestial nymphs often play the most important part in these stories. The tales of heroism related to them are sometimes fantastical. The sages of these kinds in tale could tell you the age of the moon. They could call the fish from the depths of the seas and cause them to come near the shore. The Rupkathas introduced nymphs and fairies, where the hero and the heroine suffer for their love and pass through risks and sacrifices in an adventurous spirit, have interest for the young as well as the old. And the people of the world admire them with all the warmth and eagerness of their souls. Sometimes the grim and the terrible element in these tales fills the young minds with awe, and sometimes the picturesque natural sceneries drawn in a few lines. So, the next one he talks about, the species of folk tale he talks about are humorous tales. These may not be too often, pointed and subtle, but they show the power of appreciating humorous situation by the rural folk in their own simple way. They call up associations of merry laughter of children and smiles on the bashful lips of youthful women. The third class of these stories, or the third differentiation he does, the third category actually, he does are Vratkathas, which even I have talked earlier in one of my lectures. They are the tales which are interspersed with hymns and attended with religious observances. Some of these have come down to us from antiquities. The deities addressed are for those for the part are Aryan pantheons and has not opened its door. Their names are unknown and non-Sanskritic, and the mode of the worship is strange. So, the fourth class, I said the first was Rupkatha, the second was the humorous tales, the third was the Vratkathas or Brotokathas, and the fourth one was the Gitokathas, which are the most important of all. They are interspersed with songs. In eastern Bengal, old widows of the humbler class, assisted by a chorus, used to recite them before ladies of high rank during their days of confinement. Now, I'll give you one example of one Gitika, we say, okay, which Dinesh Chandra Sen had actually analyzed. And the very famous Gitika is Maiman Singh Gitika. It's a significant literary and cultural phenomenon in Bengali folk literature, particularly associated with the Maimanshing dialect of Bangladesh. The term Gitika refers to a type of folk song or ballad, and Maimanshing Gitika encompasses a collection of these songs and are deeply rooted in traditions, experiences, and daily life of the people. So, the songs are known for their simplicity, emotional depth, vivid poetry of rural life, and deals with the themes of nature, separation, love, and social issues. Also, it represents the folk culture of that particular region, which is situated in the northern part of Bangladesh. The region has a rich history of folk literature and music, and is a key part, this Gitika, of the heritage. The songs are important aspect of local identity and provide a window into the values and traditions of the daily lives of rural Bengal. So, what are the content and the themes of the Maimanshing Gitika? They are love and separation, and you can say a significant portion of these songs revolves around love, longing, and the pain of separation. They narrate the story of lovers who cannot be together by societal circumstances or barriers, and their longingness is expressed poignantly in the lyrics. Another theme we have is of the nature and the rural life. And as I said, the beauty of the nature is beautifully portrayed in the Maimanshing Gitika. They have rivers, fields, and rural settings with rich, evocative imagery. The connection between humans and nature is a very core theme of these songs, serving as a metaphor. Also, there are social issues which are addressed in this Gitika about the hardships faced by rural people, the class division, and the complexities of relationships. Some criticizes social norms, injustice, and some gives us wisdom or moral lessons. Also, these songs incorporate elements of myth, legend, and folklore, often telling stories of heroes, gods, and legendary figures. The songs carry the cultural memories and stories of the past. Also, the dialect or the style and language is very simple. Because it has to increase the accessibility so that everyone can access it. They're typically written in colloquial Bengali, often incorporating regional dialects and expressions. The language is direct yet emotionally charged, allowing listeners to easily connect with the themes and narratives. I said accessible. To make it accessible to the all classes of the society. The songs are often repetitive, which makes them easy to remember, but features lyrical beauty that enhances their impact on us. Also, Moimonshing Gitika, as I said, is a significant part of Bengali folk literature, and it is considered to be one of the earliest folk literature specimen, this Gitika, which gave us a glimpse of what folk literature is, of what a folk tale is, of what a song is. And here we can say, as I said earlier, before beginning the analysis of it, that Dinesh Chandra Sen gave us this analysis to understand the Maimanshing Gitika well. He kind of divided it on the basis of themes, songs, dialects, everything, so that his future generation can reap from it. Also, one of the most prominent figures associated with this Gitika is Syed Waliullah, a renowned Bengali writer who played a key role in documenting and preserving these folk songs. He made a collection of these songs and brought them to the wider audience. Also, I'll give you two famous themes in this Maimanshing Gitika. One is of Moina, okay, a song about a beautiful girl, often told through the perspective of her lover, okay, who is in agony due to the separation, and also the Kedarnath and Panchali, a tragic tale of love and sacrifice that has inspired many ballads and variations in Maimanshing Gitika. So, this has a lasting impact on us. And now we will be proceeding towards the end of our lecture. So, as I said, Maimanshing Gitika is an important and invaluable part of Bengali folk literature and music. It offers a rich tapestry of emotions and helps us to understand the blend of love, nature, folklore, and social issues. So, listeners, thank you for listening to me. And I have tried to give you the various genres, narrative genres of a folk tale. And in my next lectures, I'll be proceeding to the folk tales in specific and mentioning the various kinds of riddles, proverbs, and everything. Like, I will actually include the elements I have said here in my folk tales, which I'll discuss in the later lectures. And I have given you the history of Dinesh Chandra Sen, as I said, one of the most important folklorists we have in Bengal and in India as well, who played a very significant part. And I will meet you in the next lectures. Thank you.